Hey everybody, what's happening? I can't believe it's already September. This is wild. Episode 4. They just keep coming. These third Thursdays don't stop coming, y'all. Listen, this is a really cool episode we've got on the line. We went and sat down with our buddy in Santa Barbara, California, DJ Javier, and he is a really cool designer, illustrator, just a really cool all-around dude. Had a blast hanging out with him for the afternoon in Santa Barbara, getting a burrito, and you can kind of tell by the pace of our conversation. By the time we sat down to talk, I was definitely feeling a little slowed down from my usual Los Angeles pace. So anyway, had a great time hanging out with DJ. Got to talk about his past a little bit and his experience, and how he's grown as an artist and how he just has grown as a person and his general outlook on life. And real laid back guy, and I think you're gonna enjoy the conversation. So sit back and here we go. We'll see you on the other side. DJ, hey dude.
Hello.
Thanks for having us in your studio.
Thank you for coming, hanging out.
Yeah, it's a warm day in Santa Barbara. We got a little heat wave happening.
It is.
But we are making the best of it.
We have a little ocean breeze happening. Yeah,
this is nice. Your spot's pretty inspiring, man. I feel your vibe all over it. And,
thank you.
Cool stuff.
Yeah, no, it's fun to have you guys here in this. I've never done anything like this in the space.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, you've created like the perfect space for it. So
thank you.
Great job. We were chatting earlier. I didn't realize that you actually have some background with INR, or you have some history.
Yeah.
You want to tell me about that a little bit?
Yeah. So when I was an undergrad in college, I think I was maybe like 19, maybe. So I'm from Santa Barbara, which is where we are now, and I kind of made this long list of places that I'd want to work or at least intern for.
Yeah.
And so so leading up into the summer after my junior year of college or whatever, I was like, man, I'd love to intern for Iron Resin.
Oh yeah.
And so I literally did not know anyone. I barely had a portfolio. I kind of had stuff that I had worked on, and I literally just went to the website, and this was 11 years ago or so, or 12 years ago, and I went into the about or the contact us page, and I was just like, hi, my name is DJ Javier from Santa Barbara. I'm a design major.
Yeah.
I'd love to intern for you guys, and I think I probably put my Squarespace link or something.
Nice.
And then someone had responded, and they're like, yeah, this is cool. Do you want to have an interview? And I was like, oh my gosh, this is
great.
And so it's funny because now fast forwarding to where we are, what we're talking about, and what I've done that's coming out.
Yeah.
It's just a crazy full
circle moment.
Yeah.
That's cool. How long were you interning?
It was a summer. So it was, probably June.
Yeah.
I think it was maybe May to early September.
Cool.
So it was a full summer.
Well, welcome back to the team.
Yeah.
Happy to have you.
Yeah.
So if you got a business card, right, it says DJ Javier.
Javier,
excuse me. DJ Javier. What's the title under it? What do you call yourself?
I just say artist and designer.
Yeah.
Cool. It's, I don't know. I do a lot, and as you can see, I have a lot of stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of make it as it's just artist and designer.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Tell me a little bit about your background. I know you were born and raised Santa Barbara, right?
Yeah, so I'm from Santa Barbara. Went to high school out here, and then went to Santa Barbara City College.
Yep.
And I then transferred to the school called Azusa Pacific University in Azusa, where I got my design degree.
Cool.
And I always had an interest and desire to do something creative. I just didn't realize that there was an actual career path for it. Even when I was younger, I had a hard time in high school and grade school. I just wasn't really good at learning.
The normal education thing. You don't get the normal
Which is funny because by the time I got to college, I had transferred. I finished college with a 4.0. I think it was more of a mind shift.
Sure.
I didn't I was just always growing up I'm not smart enough, I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
And then once I was able to just at least put effort into certain things.
Sure.
I was oh,
you found something that
I can
fired you up.
Yeah.
And that gave you the motivation to become well-rounded.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. That's cool. Generally what drew you? It's a funny word to pick right there. Why illustration though? What visually, the visual arts, what pulled you that direction?
I think I feel like for me it was just like growing up, I always loved like tinkering in the sense of like making things or like art oriented things.
Yeah.
And so I think for me that's like why I like went so heavily into design, which then like from there I like learned to like express myself more with my work, and like I learned to develop a style. And I think that's one thing like I love doing like the stuff that I do that's kind of like around us, like the more art oriented things. But I also love just being just straight up graphic designer, art director too, and doing like laying out type in like a presentation or just like stuff like that. So
you like the idea of creating something from the ground up, giving it the visual.
Totally.
Yeah, dude, I feel you. I'm the same. I'm the same way. Background's nice, talent's nice, but the real nitty gritty that I really want to talk to you about is like this podcast is about people who, you know, live life like on their own terms, right? And so you kind of did the corporate thing for a second, right? And then you decided to launch off on your own. What did those early days of corporate look like? Where were you working? What were you doing?
Yeah, so when I graduated college, I worked at a design and packaging agency. That's where I really like cut my teeth doing like design.
Right.
High
volume. You're cranking out a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah. So doing a lot of stuff, working with a lot of big clients, and especially like not experiencing that and getting kind of thrown into it. Like it teaches you a lot. It teaches you how to present and like present to clients and like concept and just like all like the little detail things that people might skip over.
Yeah.
And like I've worked in-house for like other like brands too. Like I was at Teva for a little bit, and I was working at CV's as their art director as well. And yeah, all those things, like I said, I love doing all of it. So it was like exciting to be able to like work in-house at places, but then too, like, I don't know, I feel like I was like also developing my own work on the side, which then kind of like grew into like what it is now.
Yeah, totally. Did you, oh, hey, here comes the Surfliner again. You know you're in Santa Barbara.
Yes.
When you got the Surfliner coming through.
It always comes through when I'm doing something really important.
Thank you for thinking this is really important.
Oh, well, not this.
Oh, other really important things?
No, like literally if I'm like, literally this, or if I'm like, I'm in an important Zoom, like I can hear it like humming, and I'm like, especially if I'm like in the middle of talking, I'm like, ah!
There's something really comforting, you know, like we were talking earlier, like I used to live in North County, and like you live here. It makes it feel, it always reminds you of Santa Barbara, right? You always feel a little bit at home, and just a little comfort noise. It's wild, right?
Whenever it comes through and I'm not in like an important thing, I'm like, oh, that's cool. You hear the train.
Yeah, it's kind of charming, huh?
Obviously, like, okay, as soon as we turn on the microphone,
it's here.
Someone's like, send the train.
Well, it's, you know, for the listening audience who's going to experience this a little more than the YouTube audience, trains, you know, what, 50 yards away maybe?
Yeah.
It's pretty close.
Yeah.
But it's what makes these little, like, beach towns around here. You know, it's cool. Santa Barbara, little identity.
Yeah.
And we're back to our regularly scheduled banter. So like you're doing the corporate thing, you're cutting your teeth, you're learning the things that you can't learn in school, you know, just like getting the life experience, getting a little bit of a paycheck. You decide at some point that you want to do something on your own, right? You kind of started veering away. What was your all-in moment? Like, what was your moment of like, I'm going, let's do this?
Yeah. I think I had gone back and forth. I feel like in between each gig, there was moments where I was like doing freelance. Yeah. And then I ended up like joining something or doing something. But it wasn't until like maybe somewhat recently, like in the last, I think maybe 3 years when I had left my position at CV's, where I was like I'm going to like fully do this thing. Yeah. And I think it was one of those things where like my like side stuff started to ramp up so much that I'm like, oh, this isn't really side stuff anymore. Yeah. Like this is like kind of like main, like it's taking so much time, and I feel like I'm like burning the candle. Yeah. And so, that's when I kind of was like, all right, I made the jump to it. And I work closely with one of my good friends who's my manager as well. So she helps me like navigate all like the contracts and decision making, and just like helps me like plan ahead, which has been like honestly like incredibly helpful and helped me like excel more in my career. Yeah. Having someone who's like can look at the logistics of things and be like, how do we like proceed? Yeah. So
do you have anybody like mentoring you, or do you do anything in that world? Is like, you know, because like this is a hard world to like navigate on your own. Are you talking to anybody? You got people you're bouncing this off of, or are you just like charging?
Yeah, I have you know, a lot of people who are either like in the same position as me or who are like vastly ahead of me, who like of all different kind of industries, who have like picked their brains about. Yeah, I think it's helpful having, you know, people who are like, I have people who are like very like corporate design world or like brand, and also people who are like total fine artists or muralists or whatever. And so it's nice having people who are like ahead of you, and also people who are like next to you to be like, they can troubleshoot with you, you know?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I do have like a network of like a lot of people that like I can kind of bug and ask questions or just like get their perspective. And I think too, in like the age of the internet, it's nice when like there's a lot of people who have like I've never met who are just like Instagram creative friends. I'm like, hey, have you ever done this? Or like, you know, and so
Very
it's
cool.
like,
Yeah.
it's cool to have like,
Yeah.
I think that's like the good parts of the internet, to have people who are like, we've never met, but like we're cheering each other on from a distance.
Yeah. We're on similar paths.
Yeah.
Like, why not? Right.
Yeah.
Do you, you know, I was curious when I was kind of reading up on you and looking at your work, and, you know, you've done work for a lot of companies, and your style is like consistent. Like, as a creative who's walking into situations your entire career, your entire path, how are you, like, you know, there's that fine balance between growth and staying true to who you are. Is this something that you've like thought about and you've refined this process a little, or like what's your view on like being consistent but also growing? Like,
yeah, you know, I think it's tricky. I feel like at this point in my career, like I have like the confidence and the ability to like push things more, or maybe be more vocal about like, I think we should do it this way, you know, because I've been able to build like the portfolio or like the work or like the expertise to like have more of like an opinion.
right.
But even then at the same time, like there's things that I'm like, I don't really know, you know?
Yeah.
And also too, I think it's healthy to like collaborate, especially with the people that you're working with, you know?
Sure.
But yeah, I think early on it was just kind of like, I'll do anything.
Yeah.
Like if I had an opportunity that came through the door, I was like, just tell me what you want to do, and like I'll make it work, you know? And so, yeah, I think being able to like, it's like a push and pull.
Sure.
And I feel like in the beginning, I almost equate it to like in the beginning of your career, I would go heavy on like quantity and just like, you just do everything.
Sure.
Just do everything, find what you like and what you don't like, and just like keep adding things like just like under your belt.
Yeah.
And then you'll realize like, oh, I'm really good at this. And you kind of like begin to like naturally carve out like your own lane and like approach to things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I feel like you gotta like get through the mess of it all to figure out like who you are.
Yeah.
And then you kind of like go from there.
Sure. Like the idea of your first couple of years is spent finding your voice and finding your style. And, you know, I feel like you're kind of in a place where you've learned, like, talent has taken you to the point that you need to be, and now it's about learning how to be a collaborator, learning how to speak the language, right? Does that feel?
Yeah, definitely. I think, you know, being able to honestly like concept your idea and then like speak to it well and like sell it well. And also just like, I think in the space that I work in, where it's like, it's art, but it's also design. I think being able to like understand like what the client needs and what they expect, and like how you can push them, but how also like maybe you need to be pushed at the same time. And even like this project like with Iron Resin is like a really cool example of like, that is like where I found my foundation. That was like my first big opportunity, and then I've been able to grow as a creative, and now coming back to be able to like work with INR, but then also like bring like this new perspective that I've like developed that like stretches them a little bit, but then also it stretches me a little bit, and we like kind of like our circles overlap, you know?
Sure.
And so I think it's cool to like, for me, like making the collection, it was just like, oh, make something that feels like it truly belongs in like the DNA of the brand.
Yeah.
But then like people stop and they're like, wait, but that's different. Like in a cool, unique way, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's like towing that line.
Totally.
Yeah.
When I was in school, somebody quoted someone, I don't know who it is, I'm sure the internet will light me up for this, but someone said, you know, give me the freedom of a well-defined campaign. You know, I've always found some like a little relief in that, You know,
Totally, yeah.
I get a little blinded by decision paralysis.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Honestly, I like tell people that like I honestly kind of enjoy parameters sometimes.
right?
Like as like a designer and
Yeah.
as an artist, because it forces me to be like, well, I always do it like this.
Yeah,
So when someone's like, well, you have to do it kind of like this.
yeah,
Then for me, it's like, how do I push
Yeah.
it as far as I can?
yeah,
I don't know. It's almost like you have like Legos, and it's like,
yeah.
what can I make new that's different than the last thing? But I have the same like,
pieces,
100 pieces,
right?
you know.
Yeah, dude, absolutely.
So that's how I kind of see the creative process.
It's true. It's a fun challenge. When I was in, film school when I was a kid, whatever, like our first semester, we could only shoot black and white because it was all about teaching us, exposure values.
Yeah.
And I feel like I grew so much in that quarter because I had these guardrails up. So like I feel you on that. I think a lot of people are scared of being told what to do, but I think there's actually a little bit of freedom in those guardrails.
Oh,
It's
I
a good
mean,
point.
even my own creative process, like I show whenever I'm like concepting, like even this project, like I only show clients like black and white things. Like I never show them color until we're at the point where they're like, oh, this is it. This is the one. Because I know in my head, and it's like, I think being a designer and like this was taught to me of like, if it works in black and white, it's probably going to work in color. Like
That's
99% it's going to work in color.
Yeah.
And so even for me, like whether it's like branding work or design work or illustration or a hybrid or like murals or paintings,
Right.
everything is like, color does not enter until I'm like,
Dude,
the form is correct,
that's
everything's
wild.
there. And like I know for a fact color's going to like bring it to the next.
Color
But if
covers
it's
a
good how it is, then it's just like, it'll be good in color.
Yeah, color covers a multitude of sins, if I can paraphrase Anthony Bourdain, right?
Yeah.
You can get away with a little more. That's cool. Black and white out the gate for your initial pitches, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
So like that way people don't get hung up on like,
World,
oh,
you heard it here
I don't
first.
like blue, I don't like green.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah,
like, if they just like it how it is in black and white,
Interesting.
then it's like, I know they're going to like it.
Wow.
There's color.
How long did it take you to figure that out?
I learned that like my first job out of school. Like,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
And like I had a teacher in college too who was just like, just black and white, make it work there. And if it does, then you can.
Oh, wow.
Like,
Cool.
so that was like,
That's
and
a good
all,
word. Yeah.
at school and my first job,
Yeah.
that was like one big thing.
Fun.
Which is great because people were telling me the same thing of like,
Yeah.
don't get too far ahead.
Totally.
Yeah.
Dude, in a world of like everything is just in our face all the time. Phones, advertising, everything is created to just take up our bandwidth, right? Like you have to consistently, as someone who works in visual arts, be kind of muting that or pulling inspiration or whatever, like to create something visual. Like where are you finding inspiration now? Like our world is just always in our face. Like you can get very overwhelmed. It almost becomes white noise, right? Where's your inspiration come from?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. It really is like anything and everything. And I think the more I've been able to define my style, the more like I'm like accepting of like inspiration anywhere, because there's like little bits of like, oh, like that, how that type was set and this thing was really cool, or how this was drawn was cool, or how this was shaded, or like color, whatever it is, or even like from like a more art director standpoint of like how this was all concepted and like launched was really cool. And it's almost like, it's funny. People have asked me that question before, and I'm just like,
can I rephrase the question a little bit though?
Yes.
Where are you finding inspiration personally, like not professionally?
Yeah.
Because like obviously these two live together, right? Like you are the professional and they bleed together, but like you as a person, your day to day with your family, with life in general, like where are you getting that inspiration from? Like where you see beauty? Like are you like music, books, people, like where's your filter from? I'm like, I want to get a picture of like how you see the world, because I think you have a really like, I look at all the color in here and I look at what you design, its faces, it's objects, it's people. There's a face right here next to me, like I want to get an idea of what your filter on the world looks like.
Yeah.
Like where do you see inspiration in the world around you? Like where do you see beauty?
I think, I don't know if this is like cop out, but I feel like it really is like everywhere and in everything, like in the little, I think with a lot of my work, it's so like bold and like bright that like it's like with how simple it is, like there's not a lot of room for error in the sense of like if it doesn't look right, there's not that many things that can cover it up because like that just looks weird, you know.
Right.
And so it's like being aware of like the little nuance in things.
Yeah.
And I think for me that's probably like, and some I guess like when I'm walking around and like how I approach things or like noticing things. I think for me like even like my sense of humor, like I find like the tiniest things like funny that are just like, you know what I mean? Like when I'm describing something, like I can like pick apart like, oh, like this and this, like these little details about like, you know, and so
the nuance in the world.
Yeah. So it's almost like I'm inspired by like the little in between. It's almost like in a way like
dude,
when you like go surfing
and
it's a good day and everyone's wanting only like the set waves, but like sitting on the inside and being like I'll take the like the not set waves, but no one's there because everyone's like only wanting the big waves.
Sure.
So it's almost like I'll just sit on the inside and keep doing laps and picking off
totally, dude,
the half the size of the set waves, but there's more of them, and it's just more fun.
Sure.
As opposed to being like, oh, what's the big inspiration going to be?
Sure.
And I feel like in a way that's kind of how I see like my work.
Yeah,
it's
that's
just
cool.
Like, what's the little in between that's like kind of interesting. And,
dude, I totally see it now. Like you know, the little nuances and personalities, like in the faces and all the stuff, and these little creations you have. They all have little nuances in their personality. That's cool.
Totally, yeah.
Nailed it. That's what I wanted to hear.
There you go.
Family's a big part of your life, though. I've read about that and heard you talk about that a little bit. Your parents were immigrants, right?
Yeah, from the Philippines. Yeah.
From the Philippines. Cool.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of your life now, and you feel like that's kind of made you the person you want to talk about that
totally.
a little?
Yeah. So, I mean, my parents, they came from the Philippines in the 1980s, and so my dad didn't know anyone or he was sponsored here on like a work visa kind of thing, a work sponsorship. But he was like, we're going. And so, it's funny, someone had asked him like hey, like if it didn't work out coming to the US, would you have gone home? And he was like, no, like I had to make it work. And so I think that work ethic has like bled into just like for how like I approach things, and even like with my own work is just like, you just got to find out how to do it. And so they're just like a big inspiration. But it's funny because like, I mean, and I would think they probably would admit to it too, but like coming to the US and then like their son wanting to be an artist, and it's like, oh my gosh, you don't want to be like a doctor, a lawyer, a businessman, or something.
So a little more stable, steady.
Like really, we went all the way across the Pacific Ocean for you to like draw funny faces. But it's cool because now they're like the number one hype people, like my mom and dad. Yeah, cool. Like always wearing something I've made, always at every event, always saving every little like clipping or like magazine.
That's awesome.
Like toting it around. Like you know, when I had like cousins growing up who were like piano prodigies, and like my parents were like, DJ just kind of hangs out. Now they're like posting on Facebook like, look what he did, you know. Awesome. So it's cool because now they like can see it, and they can see that like the American dream can look different, you know. Yeah, absolutely. Than like what they might have assumed it. Absolutely.
Do you think any of the like anything in your style comes from, you know, like I feel like a lot of what I'm seeing feels like signs and art that I see like in Southeast Asia a little bit, you know?
Yeah,
and like,
no, totally. I think how I approach a lot of like my fine art work, kind of like vibrant colors and like everything is like I sand it down and I like the texture of it. Has like a little bit of like if you were to be in like the Philippines and you'd see like this like really bright, you know, neon yellow and orange sign like on the side of the road that said something, or like so it definitely has like a lot of inspiration from that kind of like loud, you know. And even like a lot of these paintings that like are in my studio and are around us right now, like some of it, I mean a lot of it is like paint that like I purchased with the intent of like working on these. Sure. A lot of it is like paint that I've had from like murals and like other jobs. Nice. Yeah. So they're there's like a little bit of just like work with whatever's on hand kind of thing. Yeah. And so it's kind of like it has, I definitely am inspired by kind of like that like old rugged like signage that looks like it was painted and just like left. Yeah. But there's definitely that kind of like inspiration in a lot of the work. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. That's awesome. Do you know, we live in a world that's not, you know, we live in a world that's really fast paced and like
kind of, if you're not paying attention, like moments are gone, do you feel like a place like Santa Barbara kind of grounds you a little? It's, you're right down the street from LA, which is a whole different world, and people who live in LA that do your job are attacking it and doing good things. I feel like this town has instilled a little bit into your vibe, a bit of a slower pace and a little more of like thoughtful world. Do you feel like that's accurate? Do you want to?
Yeah, no, I think so. I think that definitely captures my overall vibe and perspective, especially with like my work and my career. And like, I think because of like the age of the internet and how like things are much closer now, I don't know, I kind of see it as like I don't really need to be in like a high paced place.
Yeah.
When like everything's kind of at your fingertips if you know how to like use it and like connect with other people. And it's just nice like growing up here, being able to like make it work and like stay here and like raise a family here. I think it's like it's a huge blessing.
Yeah. Speaking of raise a family here, this is one of my favorite questions to ask people right now. If you are going to give a piece of advice to yourself at 18, 19 years old, what are you saying?
I think my gut, I think the first thing that comes to my head is keep going. Because I feel like a lot of the times, like, especially as a young creative, you're kind of like, this isn't working, and I should just stop. And I feel like my whole career has been like, I mean, for like a lot of the success I've had, which has been super cool, there's just like a whole like pile of like, no, like people not responding, people not taking me seriously, like opportunities that like did not come to fruition. And I think honestly, like that idea of just like keep chipping at it, like I think my career has been built around like keep chipping at it, and even like I said, like there's no, like I didn't know anyone who worked at Iron Resin when I like sent that email like 11 or 12 years ago. Sure. I was just like, I don't know, I'm just gonna hit send and see what happens.
Did you ever have a moment that was like, oh, I'm gonna make it, like I think I can actually do this? Or
I feel like every time I do something I'm like, that's crazy, I can't believe that whoever it is trusts me to like do this thing,
right.
I don't know, I think it's definitely one of those things where like I have to remind myself to like pause and be like, I get to like do this as a job, There's
a lot of motivation behind that.
Yeah. But then there are moments where where I always get like, super hard on myself. Yeah. Like I'm not there yet. And I think I'm definitely trying to teach myself to like, just slow down and be in like the moment as it's happening,
Yeah. I'm sure there are some people out there who will find that encouraging, that you're fully established from an outside viewer. I think you're fully established. And you still have that thing in your mind of like,
there are times where like I'm at home, I'm like literally just like on the computer, like slouched over, like typing something, and I'm like, if my clients were to see like this is who's making the graphic they're working on, my computer's like pushed up to my chin, and I'm just like,
kids are napping around as fast as you can.
And it's just like, I think it's I think it's definitely that thing that a lot of creatives have of like, no, I'm not. It's like the whole imposter syndrome thing, and like
absolutely,
even to be in a studio filled with like work that I'm making and like examples of stuff I've done, I still all the time like I'll get an opportunity and be like, no, you don't want me to do it, I feel like it's that balance.
I think there's this like virus in our world, and it's because of everything's in front of us all the time, and we see through social media everyone else's lives, the doers out there, the people who are designers, the people who are artists, the people who are starting their own business, the people who are carving their own path, like the poison and the virus that is imposter syndrome. And I think there are people out there that need to hear that like everyone's going to feel it, but it's not true. Like turn your back on it.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like
I literally, it's like every other week I'm like, no, this is not, like I'm not, I don't know what I'm doing, or like I don't deserve to be like doing this, or like I'm a phony, like I'm not like a,
and it's just not true.
Yeah.
It's just not true. I mean, like deal with it, push through it, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
In
a way it's almost like, it's like once I can like shake off of that, it's like using that as fuel to be like, no, you can do it. Yeah. And show. Yeah. For me, it's like show yourself that you can do it.
Totally.
You're gonna do it like really good.
Yeah.
And so I think it's like, that's cool. It's learning to channel that feeling of like, no, I'm not, and to be like, no, yes, you are, and go freaking do it.
Absolutely, dude.
And so I think it's it's channeling that. I think for the people listening of like, channel it and turn it and be like, no, I'm going to
Yeah.
do it. I'm going to show myself that I can do it.
Totally. How are we doing on time?
10, 15 more.
10, 15 more. Should we do the lightning round now? You want to do a lightning round?
Sure.
All right.
Social Security.
Yeah.
List of fears.
Yeah, list of fears.
Your high school mascot.
Yeah, it's all like hints, like what your password hints would be on.
Your password. Your
Yeah,
favorite
yeah.
password to use.
Who was your first dog?
Yeah.
You know. All right, so this is something I'm getting into lately with guests doing a lightning round. Just go with your knee-jerk reaction. It's gonna be fun. You're gonna love it. This is a selfish lightning round. Favorite cheap eats in Santa Barbara?
That's hard.
Yeah, that's it's good hard because there's a lot of cheap eats.
Honestly,
or
Taco Bell, maybe?
Taco Bell, best cheap eats in Santa
It's a
Barbara.
sleeper. I feel like people forget that Taco Bell's really good.
All right, let's go. You heard it here first, Santa Barbara. We're getting a thumbs up from
I mean,
producer Matthew.
cheapness are like fast food. Like, just go get it.
Yeah. Like dollar burrito or dollar tacos.
Cinnamon
or whatever.
Twisties.
Cinnamon Twisties, great. He's a drive-through or dine-in though.
Drive-through.
Yeah. Especially after you get out of the water.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I will die on this hill that the best post-surf meal you can eat is a burrito.
Leave that.
I will die on that hill. We can fight. Okay, do you have a favorite color?
You know what? It's like a two-prong, like to wear or to paint. That's how I kind of see it.
Interesting.
Because as you can see, I love yellow. Like
Yeah.
in everything, yellow and orange.
I noticed.
But I don't really wear yellow and orange. Like, I'm not going to go out with, like...
Right.
I have one yellow shirt, maybe.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's funny. I have a buddy named Graham Ebner. He builds cowboy boots. He's amazing. And he loves yellow. He thinks yellow is the perfect color. And I agree. It's fantastic. But he doesn't really wear much yellow. I didn't realize that until just now. I'm going to introduce you guys because you both love yellow, but you don't wear yellow. Graham, you guys are going to be friends.
Yeah, like I have buckets of this color, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I probably would never wear that yellow.
That's
like,
so funny. What's your favorite color to wear then?
I don't, black, slimming,
Slimming black.
Yeah.
All right.
keeps the love handles in.
I don't want to hear it, you young buck. This is out there. You're making a little money when you're a kid, allowance, or you save it up or whatever. What was the first CD? What was the first music you purchased with your own money?
Oh, Will Smith.
Oh, Big Willie style?
Millennium or something.
Oh,
like that?
Millennium.
Yes,
Wow.
that's Sam Goody.
That's at Sam Goody. That
Yeah.
is revealing.
Yeah, which
to
is hilarious
you and your
because
age.
my manager, who should probably listen to this, she works with like the family. She also does
she
talent
works with the
management.
Smith family. Oh, no
Yeah.
way.
So if I ever meet him,
Yeah.
Will,
Yeah.
watch your CD.
35 cents that's in
1999.
one of your bank accounts
Yeah.
came from this guy right here.
Yeah.
That's epic. I love that answer. That's great. That was a great record. Very fun. A little more on topic. What's your favorite medium to work in? I know you do murals and you do all kinds of stuff. What's your favorite medium to work in?
I mean, probably just like painting and
Yeah.
just like a brush.
Cool.
Yeah, like all of this is just brush.
Yeah.
So like brush and like little sponge texture.
Yeah.
I think it's fun because I can like kind of just zone out
Yeah.
and like just literally sit in front of a painting and literally time just flies.
Wow. That's cool.
Like more than like any other. I mean, painting murals too, but like I think being in front of something and just
Mhm.
sitting and just like listening to music and painting,
Yeah.
I could literally just be there. I could do that all day.
Yeah. Does that like recharge your batteries? You get a little inspiration from it to
Yeah.
other projects?
Yeah. I feel like being able to just do that, not be in front of a screen, and just like, and it makes you like, because you can like go back and like fix like a painting,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not like Command Z like on
Right,
like
right.
Illustrator or like Photoshop.
Yeah.
It's like if you mess up, at least for me, like I'll cover it in white paint and then I'll have to go back like 5 steps and then
Sure.
go forward.
Oh, right. Sure.
So I stare at it and I'm like, is this right? I need
Yeah.
to like, is this? And I'll like take it out, take off the wall and like on the ground and rotate it, and like
Oh, interesting.
it makes you slow down.
Yeah, it makes you slow down.
Yeah.
Right. Interesting. I like that. Okay, moving on. Oh, favorite board in your quiver right now? Let's see. Some quiver over here. I don't know if that's the whole thing or not, but
I have. That's hard. One of my best friends, Joe Yee, he shapes in town, and he
Mhm.
made me just like a nose rider,
Yeah.
like a 9/8.
yeah.
And so that's like, if I'm gonna go, like that's the board.
Nice.
That's like it'll probably work in like almost anything, especially in Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
And he's like one of my best friends. So
And your buddy made it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm just
cool.
like, this is the one.
Shout out Joe Yee.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out Joe Yee. Cool. Dawn Patrol or Evening Glass off? Where are you going?
Dawn Patrol.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Love
Yeah.
Dawn Patrol too. I think that is a whole lightning round. Great job. Do you have any last thoughts that you want to send out into the world, from DJ to the world, creative, otherwise, anything you just want to, little imprint, a little thumbprint on this podcast?
I think, I don't know, I keep thinking back of like that idea of like keep going,
Yeah.
you know, to like the young creative.
Sure.
Because like, for instance, like kind of going back to this whole thing, like I just shot an email to Iron Resin and I was an intern for a summer and I did some stuff, and then like now full circle, like to be like partnering with them,
Yeah.
like on like a collaboration is like, it only happened because I kept going,
Sure.
you know? So I think that mentality and mindset when people are approaching any endeavor, really.
Yeah. You didn't underestimate yourself
Yeah.
in those moments. There's power behind that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. That's a great story, dude. I think it's, that's a really important thing for the doers and the makers out there to remember. Just keep going and don't underestimate yourself. Keep driving. At the end of the day and at the end of your life, you have to be proud of the effort you put in.
Yeah.
And we all have to remember that. So
Yeah.
thanks again for sitting
Thank
down,
you.
dude.
Yeah, no, this is awesome.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. New collab coming out with INR. Anybody out there wants to check out your artwork? What's your Instagram? How
It
do they find
is @_ DJ Javier.
Easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's easy. Anything else bright in the future we should be keeping our eye out for?
I think.
Nothing we can talk about yet anyway, right?
Yeah, signed a couple NDAs.
All right. Hey, that's good. That's
Yeah.
good. So follow you on Instagram to find
Yes,
out what these things
yes.
are going to be.
And then people will find out.
Then we'll all find out.
Yeah.
Dude, well, it's very nice meeting you. Glad we're friends now. Got
Yeah.
somewhere to stop in Santa Barbara.
Yes.
That's some-
I got a bathroom.
Yeah. And you got restaurant recommendations,
Yeah.
which is like the other thing I need in life. So great success.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks again.
Thank you.
See you later.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Appreciate it. Bye, Internet.
I love that we didn't really waste any time getting into the idea of imposter syndrome, and it's really refreshing to hear that that everybody kind of deals with it, and especially somebody as talented as him. And man, DJ, thanks again for having us. Such a cool day hanging out with you, and I will be back in Santa Barbara very soon. Maybe we can hit Taco Bell and find a few other good cheap eats. So yeah, third Thursday of the month, everybody. Keep swinging by. Make sure you like. Make sure you subscribe. If you can leave a comment, people you want me to talk to, do it. Share this with your friends. We're having a blast. Hope everybody has a good one. We will see you in a month. Take care. See you next time.